Good morning, Boston. Okay, my friends, there's no sugarcoating this. Right now, as I speak to you, the United States of America is being invaded. There's no other way to say it. I don't know what else to tell you, but facts are facts are facts. So, over the last couple of weeks, as you know, we've been covering it periodically here on the Kuhner Report. Migrants, as they're now being called, illegal aliens, have been coming through our very porous southern border, Texas, Arizona in particular. They are coming in at 10,000 a day. They have been pouring in anticipation that Title 42 will be lifted. Well, last night at midnight, the stroke of midnight, Title 42 has now ended. It was the only effective border control tool that the federal government had left. It was from the Trump era. Trump was the one who created it. And under Trump, they were able to deport nearly 3 million illegal aliens. Word got out all over the world, not just in Central and South America, all over the world. And you're going to see when I talk about this throughout the show, they're coming in now from everywhere. You're not going to believe the stories the Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection are now revealing. They're coming from Nigeria. They're coming from Kyrgyzstan, from Russia, from Belarus, from China. I mean, they're coming from all over the world. Word got out. Biden now is determined, dead set, to lift and end Title 42, which means effectively we have no border control. And the reason why, and I want to be crystal clear on this, is because it was Biden who on the first day in office undid practically all of Trump's policies on the border. The big one, remain in Mexico. And he told, in fact, he publicly said, come on in. We will process you. We will register you. We will release you into the interior of the United States. The Trump border policies are dead. Catch and release has now been the policy of the Biden regime for the last 2.5 years. And already under the last 2.5 years, we have had an historic surge at the border. The Biden administration, up until last night, listen to this, has now allowed to pour into the United States 5 million illegal aliens. 5 million. 5 mil. That's more than the population of over 20 states in the Union. Now, he's going to unleash the floodgates. So, it's been building and building and building already the last couple of weeks, as now the word has gotten out everywhere. There is no effective border in the United States of America. As we stand now, our borders are nothing more than administrative lines in the sand. That's it. We are now a pitiful, helpless giant. And the world now knows it's time to ring the dinner bell. Come on down. So, as I speak to you, 700,000 to 1 million migrants are now pouring across the southern border in sector after sector after sector. They have been waiting for months for this moment. Our border towns, you can look simply, forget the local media stories, forget what the local shelters are saying, forget what the what local residents are saying. Just look at the unbelievable aerial photograph shots. It is a sea of people coming in. Our border patrol is so overwhelmed that they now have admitted they're just dumping illegals on the streets. They're taking them to bus stations, gas stations, supermarkets, parking lots, and just saying, here, just leave, just get out. Here it is. They're giving them food this is deliberate under Biden. They all get food, water, clothes, phones, bus tickets, and it's catch and release on a massive scale. They don't know who many of these people are. Murderers, rapists. They found, for example, the Border Patrol is extremely upset. A Chinese illegal was coming in, tried to register. They found child pornography on that person's phone. The person is clearly a pedophile and child molester. They're saying they're seeing this everywhere. Prisons are being emptied in Venezuela and other countries, mental asylums, and being told, go El Norte. Go, the United States is taking everyone. El Paso, Texas now is a third world hellhole. The residents there are practically in revolt. When you walk down the streets, full of migrants. Defecation, urine everywhere. People lined up sleeping on the sidewalk. Trash everywhere. Crime is exploding. Diseases are coming in from all over the world. The residents say they feel completely and utterly abandoned and overwhelmed. And the worst part is that Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been told by Biden and Mayorkas, who to me is an absolute scumbag of the highest order. You want to talk about a traitor and a Benedict Arnold? That's Alejandro Mayorkas. And I'm going to ask Jim Jordan, because we're going to have the chair of the House Judicial Committee on at 8:30 today for a newsmaker interview. Why aren't you impeaching Mayorkas? He is now aiding and abetting a full-blown invasion of the United States. Mayorkas and Biden are now openly encouraging this invasion. In fact, we now know that this is being funded and paid for by taxpayer dollars. Our money, used by non-governmental organizations in ties with George Soros, who have been working actively for months all across Latin America, Central America, South America, Africa, China, Eastern Europe, telling them, we're going to help you get into the United States. They are providing them with lawyers. Then they provide them with shelter. And then they get them to the destination of their choice. We have lost all control, sovereignty, and authority over our entire border. Now the prediction is it's going to be 400,000 after this initial massive surge. 400,000 a month. Wave after wave after wave after wave. We are going to have 5 to 7 million illegals come into this country this year alone. On top of the 5 mil he's already let in. Now, even the Biden regime is admitting all of these people coming in will have to be put on welfare. That means food stamps, EBT, Section 8 housing, free education, put the kids in the schools, Medicaid or Mass Health here in Massachusetts. In other words, we are going to be paying for everything. Everything. What you're watching now is the deliberate attempt to bankrupt and economically, demographically destroy the United States. And the fact that they are destroying and dismantling our country piece by piece, they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. How bad the border towns have now become, what's going to happen as they release them. By the way, in cities all across the country. They're going to Chicago. They're going to New York. Get ready. Buses are coming to Boston. They're going to L.A. They're going to go everywhere. And if you look at the people who are coming in, I'm not the only one who's noticed it. Very few women. Overwhelming majority men. Young men, but men. Well, if they're supposedly fleeing quote-unquote oppression and so-called persecution, how come they've left their women behind? Their wives, their daughters, their nieces. No, this is deliberate. It is being funded by taxpayers to come and destroy the United States. Okay, my friends, one of the most consequential days now, and maybe in the history of the United States, certainly in the Biden presidency, is today, or in fact, already began starting at 12:01 midnight. The Title 42, which was really the last effective border control tool that we had to deport and reject illegal aliens, has now ended. We effectively, under the Biden regime, have no operational control over our southern border. None. The border no longer exists. And the word has now gone out. They are pouring in. The numbers are historic, unprecedented. These are the terms used by the Border Patrol. These are my words, their words. They are now overwhelmed, absolutely overwhelmed. You can just look at the drone photographs, the aerial photographs. It is a sea of people. They are now pouring in. They have been now for the last 6 hours. 6 hours and 20 minutes. The last couple of weeks, they've been coming in as well, and it's now building and building and building and building and building. Now, there are so many of them coming in that the Biden regime now is admitting, the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the Associated Press, they're all reporting that many of these migrants are just being dumped and released inside the United States with no court date whatsoever. None. It's not even see us in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years and we'll try to adjudicate your claim for asylum. There are so many. They can't process and register enough. The shelters are bursting at the seams. The processing centers are bursting at the seams, that now they're just taking them, loading them into buses, dumping them. We're not tracking them, and there are no court dates whatsoever. Others, listen to this, have a court date to appear in immigration court a decade from now. Let me repeat that. A decade, 10 years from now. That's how much our courts are going to be clogged with all of these people being allowed to just catch and release, to be processed and then dumped or released into the interior of the country. It is an absolute disaster. Most of them, over 90%, will never appear in immigration court. They will disappear into the shadows, probably now in the hopes of getting full amnesty, which the Democrats are now promising. But whether they get amnesty or not, they are now in the United States. They have been given a temporary visa, all of them, to be in the United States. And they will get a social security number. And most of them will be going on government assistance. In fact, the Biden regime are urging them to do so. Otherwise, they cannot survive. So, we now are going to be spending God knows how many trillions of dollars in order to essentially take care of the world. People who have come into our country illegally and have no intention of leaving. As I said, what many people are noticing, reporters, journalists, people in the border towns, the overwhelming majority of the illegal aliens pouring across are men. Are men. So remember, this is all technically they're fleeing persecution. This is the argument they keep making. By the way, I never knew there were 129 countries I never knew there was so much freaking political persecution in nearly 130 countries. They're coming in from Peru, Colombia, of course, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua. But they're coming Paraguay, Uruguay, China, Thailand, Belarus, Moldova, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Nigeria, countries all across Africa. They're all coming in. They're all coming in. And yet, when interviewed by the American media after they've been released into the interior, all of them are admitting they're here for a better life. There is no political persecution. They're not fleeing some oppressive regime or they're political targets of the regime. No, they openly say it. For us, for our children, we want a better job. We want a house. We want economic opportunities. We want educational opportunities. We want welfare. They openly say it, government assistance, as well as working under the table. In other words, we want a slice of the American pie. And if the dumb gringo is opening his border, and if the dumb gringo is going to pay for all of this, well, don't blame us, blame the dumb gringo. Listen now to Mayorkas, faced now with this massive border crisis, really an unprecedented border crisis. Who do you think he's blaming? Unbelievable. Roll cut 12. Mike.
Our current situation is the outcome of Congress leaving a broken, outdated immigration system in place for over 2 decades, despite unanimous agreement that we desperately need legislative reform. It is also the result of Congress's decision not to provide us with the resources we need and that we requested. Our efforts within the constraints of our broken immigration system are focused on ensuring that the process is safe, orderly, and humane, all while protecting our dedicated workforce and our communities.
Bull crap. You know what I really want to say, but I can't say it or else I'm going to get fined. Okay? Bull, you know what? Pure horse crap. Don't talk to me about the system being broken. Don't try to pin this on Congress or the Republicans. It's very simple. Enforce the immigration laws we already have on the books. Trump had given Biden inherited a secure border. Biden was the one who rescinded all of Trump's border policies. There's only one person to blame, and it's Dementia Joe. 632 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, the invasion now has begun. It's been going on, obviously, for a while, but now it is a full-blown border invasion. This is now even with Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol. They're saying we are absolutely overwhelmed. They are coming. It is caravan after caravan after caravan. And what we're seeing now are some pathetic, absolutely pathetic pictures, whereby you have illegal aliens crossing the Rio Grande. They then encounter barbed wire, let's say at the Texas border, and you have Texas border, Texas National Guardsmen and other law enforcement there urging them not to cross the barbed wire, but they can't do anything to stop them. And the illegal aliens are just going through the barbed wire. And then they say, okay, process me. I'm making a claim for asylum. And there's nothing that the Department of Public Safety, the National Guard, our Border Patrol, nothing that any of them can do. So what you're seeing are armed Americans, armed law enforcement, armed National Guard, standing there. They can, with machine guns and the whole bit, but they can't do anything, because their hands have been tied and handcuffed by Biden. So they're yelling, screaming, don't come, don't come, don't come, and they just right in front of them. It doesn't matter, barbed wire, whatever obstacle there is, they just cross it and then turn around and say, okay, I'm handing myself over for asylum, process me. And then they're held in a detention center, and that's where we now have all these troops. Our troops are now being used, as well as the Border Patrol, as glorified secretaries and administrative assistants. All they're doing is paperwork. That's all they do. Name, address, country, where do you come from? Okay, and they're all being told by these lawyers given to them by Soros-backed non-governmental organizations, just say credible fear. That you just have to say that phrase. I'm living with credible fear. So that's why I'm coming to the United States, because of credible fear. Credible fear of persecution from the cartels, from the government. Just, they go make it up. Just make up a story. And boom, they have to let you in, according to Biden now and Mayorkas and their regulations. And now they're in. I mean, they're in, and the bus stations are overwhelmed in every single border town. The border towns themselves are completely overwhelmed. You would think you're in Caracas, Venezuela. I'm serious. It is that bad. And the Border Patrol says, and the photographs don't lie, it is an ocean, a sea of people. They're just coming wave after wave after wave after wave after wave. Now, no country can absorb this. I'm telling you, and they're going to be sent to cities everywhere. Everywhere. By the way, buses are coming to Massachusetts. Get ready. Boston, Quincy, you name it. Lawrence, they're coming. Lynn, Salem, they're coming, baby. It's going to be bus after bus after bus after bus. So, let me ask you, it is the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Kelly Financial Services. Who do you believe is to blame for the crisis now at our border? It's an invasion. Do you believe it's Congress's fault? That's who Biden, Mayorkas, the Dems keep blaming? The Republicans in Congress, I swear to you. Or Biden. Biden/Mayorkas. You know who I blame. This is Biden's invasion. But I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner, or if you prefer, you can vote on Twitter, our handle there, at the Kuhner Report, Kuhner, all one word, at the Kuhner Report. Quick update, we just got news from Jim Jordan's people. He will be on scheduled, but it's going to be slightly pushed back. He will be on at 8:45 today. I will ask him point blank, will you finally impeach Mayorkas over now the crisis and invasion at the border? I'm interested to hear what Congressman Jordan's going to say. Chuck in Dighton. Thanks for holding, Chuck, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi.
You know, once again, when is something going to be done? I mean, with what's going on at the border, there's no question the guy should be impeached. I mean, he is dereliction of duty, putting the American people at risk, and that's all there is to it. And all the information that came out the other day about Joe Biden and his family benefiting from all kinds of illegal situations, once again, what's going to be done with that? It's a question of when is something going to be done? I am so tired of hearing people talk of all the information that they have, all the bad stuff that the Bidens have done, so on and so forth, and nothing being done. It's enough. Either, I hate to say, either poop or get off the pot. Done.
Yeah, or fish or cut bait, right? I mean, you're right. Look, Chuck, I got to ask you, what do we do now? I mean, in all seriousness, what do we do? It's an invasion. These are massive, unprecedented, historic numbers. It's going to be all over the country. They're coming in, and I'm going to play some cuts. You got to see how the migrants, the illegal aliens, are behaving once they come into the United States. You think they'd be grateful? You wouldn't believe their attitude, the way they're behaving, what they say about this country. I mean, I'll let the cuts speak for themselves. So we're bringing people in who feel entitled to all of our welfare. They're entitled to a job. They're entitled to home, to housing, to food, to an education, to welfare, to money, to sneakers, to iPads. You got to see them because they've been promised the moon by the Red Cross, by these NGOs, by these Soros-backed lawyers, by the Biden regime in Mayorkas. They have been told, just come on in. My God, you're not going to believe the government goodies that are going to be waiting for you and your family. And Chuck, you look at these pictures. China doesn't need to beat us. We're beating ourselves. We are allowing our country to literally be overrun. We do not have any national sovereignty or control over our borders. We are now a borderless country.
You know, when words just can't describe. When Jim Jordan comes on, if he does not say he's going to impeach Mayorkas, then I'm going to lose faith in him too. I mean, there's nothing else to say. I mean, either you start doing something as Republicans or as American people, or we've lost this country. Or should I say, we've already lost it, but we need to get it back.
Chuck, my fear is I think you're going to see citizens now voluntarily just protect the border. I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to see militias. I think there's almost now no choice. If the federal government will not do its job and enforce the border and enforce the law, and they're preventing the governor of Texas and the state government of Texas from protecting their state and their border and their citizens, well, you're leaving the people no choice. I mean, look, there's a certain point we're going to hit it. I mean, we can't keep taking these people in. It's impossible. It's humanly impossible. So someone's going to have to defend that border, and it may have to be us.
It's a very sad day. And, you know, the government, what they're going to do is, you know what, just print more money. Just keep printing money.
And then you're right. And then inflation will explode and we'll be like Weimar Germany. I mean, we're becoming, and that's a third world country. You look at all these countries they're leaving. They all have 500%, 1,000% inflation. Their currency, their money is worth nothing because all they do is print money. We are becoming the United States of Venezuela right in front of our eyes. You import the third world, you become the third world. And man, now we're importing them now in historic, unprecedented numbers. Chuck, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, what do you make now of this crisis, really an invasion at the border, and what should we do about it? Jeff Kuhner, the voice of the resistance, and boy, we need it today. Okay, Title 42 ended, technically today at 12:01 midnight, 12:01 a.m. It is now, there's nothing. There is, under the Biden regime, they refuse, let's be more accurate. They have put together policies in which they will refuse to deport anyone as long as they make it on American soil. So we have now completely abolished our borders. This is all self-imposed, self-inflicted, and now the word is out all over the world. Ring the dinner bell, baby. Just get into America, and once you're in, you can never leave. Now, millions and millions are amassing 700 to 1 million, 700,000 to 1 million are already pouring across our southern border today. They say millions more will be pouring in over the next couple of months. Border towns are already completely overwhelmed and overrun. And now they plan to send many of them to cities all over the United States, including, yes, right here in the sanctuary state of Massachusetts. You want sanctuary cities? Well, you're going to get sanctuary cities. 617-266-6868. Listen now to this clown, this buffoon, this traitor, Mayorkas. This is him yesterday at the White House presser. And look at the bull crap that's coming out of this guy's mouth. Seriously, you eat with that mouth. That's what I want to ask him. You eat with that mouth. Roll cut 13. Mike.
I want to be very clear. Our borders are not open. People who cross our border unlawfully and without a legal basis to remain will be promptly processed and removed. An individual who is removed under Title VIII is subject to at least a 5-year ban on reentry into the United States and can face criminal prosecution if they attempt to cross again.
Ooh, I'm so scared. Ooh, I'm shaking in my boots. Ooh, hey, Alejandro, they haven't gotten the memo. Just forget me. Turn on your TV screen. Everybody is showing what's happening at the southern border. The cameras, the pictures, the videos, the aerial footage, they don't lie, Alejandro. This is unbelievable. Almost came out the F-bomb. Unbelievable with this guy. By the way, again, I want to repeat this. There are so many now that are just pouring across the border. Our detention centers, our processing centers. By the way, thousands of U.S. troops are there doing the paperwork. The Border Patrol, they're just doing paperwork. They can't handle the load. So what they're doing is some of them are being given court dates to, just got Title VIII. They're giving court dates a decade from now. So they release them into the interior of the United States. See you in 10 years in immigration court. Others, no date whatsoever. And no tracking device on them. Nothing. They're just, it's literally now catch, release. Catch, get a name, get an address, get something. They could lie to you. What the hell do you know? And just throw them in. Okay. Buses now, they're dumping them at supermarkets, convenience stores, gas stations, bus stations. They just dump them. Border Patrol buses, full. They just dump them, let them out, and then say, go where you want to go. Go away. Here's bus tickets, cash. They give them a little bit of petty cash, and just go. We're just pick your destiny. Just go and welcome to America. We have no country. Forget no borders. We have no country. And this guy's like, oh, I'm warning you. The border is not open. Right. This guy, I'm telling you, is taking a page out of Baghdad Bob. Forget Baghdad Bob. This is Baghdad Alejandro. 617-266-6868. Okay, let me ask you. It's obvious now it's a crisis. In fact, maybe now even beyond the crisis. It's an invasion. What should we do at this point? What can we do? 617-266-6868 is the number. George in Kensington, New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, George, and welcome.
Morning. First off, we can be aware that from everything I found out, Biden is just Obama's puppet, which would partially explain why he stumbles. The Wi-Fi gets interrupted. But if I can mention two comments in a coffee shop yesterday about the town hall. One guy referred to CNN as Commie Nazi Network. Hello?
Keep going, George.
Hello?
Yep. George, go ahead.
Yeah, and some of the other guys, veterans, they're starting to refer to that bunch, the Democrats, whatever, as Nazi comms. But, I mean, what we can do is look around, do like the French did and the Dutch did in World War II. Look around, see who these liberals are, so-called liberals are. Keep track of them, because if we can somehow reclaim the country, where are they going to go? They're just going to go under their desks and under their rocks and start coming back out. And they work quietly, like the socialists have always done from the beginning. And find out who these people are. Keep an eye on them, and see who tries to come up and pretend they're an American when they're actually a socialist.
Well, George, I mean, they're out of the closet. I mean, to be fair, look, what they're doing is the willful, deliberate destruction and betrayal of our country. What you're seeing now is treason at high noon. This is treason. Biden is engaging in treason. You're right. Obama's pulling the strings. No question. No question. But this, this is his treason. This is Biden's treason. This is Mayorkas' treason. This is the Democrats' treason. And again, where are the yellow-livered, gutless Republicans? Greg, who one of the big listeners and supporters of this show, a fellow Croatian American, emailed me maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. He said, remember, Jeff, Republicans kept saying the power of the purse, the power of the purse. Give us the House. We have the power of the purse. And he says, well, what have they defunded? What have they done with the power of the purse? What agencies have they targeted? What have they defunded? Why can't Kevin McCarthy come out right now and say, you are going to aid and abet the invasion of our country? We're going to defund Homeland Security completely. Completely. No one's going to get a paycheck at the Department of Homeland Security. Do you understand? Nothing. In other words, put some pressure on the regime. Now, to their credit, they did pass a massive border bill that, if becomes law, would stop this invasion dead in its tracks. Okay, but it's not just, it's not going anywhere in the Senate. So if I'm McCarthy, okay, you want the debt ceiling lifted? Fine. We lift the debt ceiling, but you've got to pass our bill. You want a debt ceiling limit? A debt ceiling increase, forgive me. Lift the debt limit? No problem. Support our bill that stops this invasion right now. In other words, it's time to play hardball, man. Like, come on. Now, the crime is already happening. Burglaries, sexual assaults, Americans being assaulted, their homes being burglarized, the drugs now that are pouring in, the violence, the trash is everywhere. Oh my, what they're doing, the way they're trashing these border towns. Where's our self-respect? And the people of Texas are utterly impotent. Abbott is screaming like crazy. The Texas AG is screaming like crazy. The residents of Texas are screaming like crazy. And they're being completely betrayed by the federal government. In fact, every time they try to do something, the feds don't blame the illegals. They blame Texas. So I'm sorry, man, but it's time to say, you know what? We are a sovereign state. We're going to use the plenary sovereign power that we have. And to hell with you, I'm deputizing everybody in my state. Stop this border invasion now. You push them back. I don't care. And if one federal official tries to interfere, arrest that SOB on the spot. I'm sorry, man. You're the governor of Texas. You have responsibilities to the people of Texas. And believe me, the United States would cheer every step of the way. All of America would back Texas on this. Remember the Alamo, for God's sake. 617-266-6868. Agree, disagree? Ryan in Boston. Thanks for holding, Ryan, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff.
Hi, Ryan.
I'll tell you what, Paul Revere will be pulling the horse out of the barn by now. People don't think that we can't lose this country, and we can. It's amazing, but everyone still goes to work in the morning. The government's not coming to help us on this one, Jeff. And I think that's been made clear.
Well, Ryan, you know, I got to say, it's one thing for the government not to help us, but it's another when the government's the enemy. The government is the fifth columnist. The government is the one encouraging the invasion. You know, and they're collaborating with the invaders. They're telling them, come on in. And they're making it as easy as possible. In fact, they're incentivizing them to come on in. They're saying, come on in, and we will take care of you like no one has ever taken care of you before. On our backs, our money, our work, our sweat, our brow. Off the sweat of our brow. Ryan, look, there's no getting around this. This is deliberate. This is intentional. And it's being funded by taxpayers like you and me. So here's my prediction, Ryan. I think this is going to go on for about another week. And I think when we see the massive numbers, and it starts to affect not just the border towns and the border states, but when you start seeing it everywhere, you're going to see militias. It's inevitable. People are going to voluntarily team up and say, if the government won't protect the border, we will. And then we've got a mess on our hands.
This is exactly what the Democrats campaigned on in 2016. There's no surprise here.
Ryan, have we reached the tipping point where even many Democrats are going to say, I don't want this? No sane, civilized, orderly country behaves like this. You don't just allow people to pour across your border, unvetted, unchecked. You don't know who's coming in, what they're bringing with them. Are they criminals? Do they have diseases? Are they bringing drugs? God knows what. What country does this? I mean, isn't there a certain point where even many Democrats are going to say, enough? Really, enough?
You know what it's going to come to, Jeff? It's going to be your mother can't go to the store and get groceries by herself. Your girlfriend can't go walk her dog down the street at night by herself. And then you know what's going to happen? Good people are going to get hurt, and they've tied the hands of good men to protect these people. This is going to get a lot uglier than people think.
Ryan, thank you very much for that call. I wish I could disagree with you. I can't. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very, very quick as the lines are jammed. I want to go right back to the phone lines. 617-266-6868. There are already protests. I'm going to play the cut a little bit later in Chicago, in many other cities, New York, saying we can't take any more. We don't want any more. And they know they're coming. They're already setting up what they're calling migrant respite centers. In other words, places for migrants to go to take a breather, to acclimate themselves before they get on Section 8 or something a bit more permanent in terms of housing. So they're either going to put them up in hotels and motels. The hotels and the motels are now pretty much full. So now they're setting up centers in different neighborhoods. They don't want them in their neighborhood. And by the way, predominantly these are minority neighborhoods. And they're protesting south side of Chicago, black neighborhood. They said, we got enough problems, man. You're going to dump this on us? So what they're trying to do now is Mayorkas and Biden are now sending fleets of buses, bus after bus after bus. And now they want to disperse them and disseminate these illegals, because there's so many, into as many cities as possible. Florida is going to be a big target. They want to carpet bomb Florida with illegals, but they're going to send them all the way up. It's coming through New England, Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Get ready. Providence, Boston, Manchester, Portland, Maine. Get ready because the buses are coming. The West Coast is going to get blitzed as well, and they want to hit the heartland. Chicago's the big target, but they're going to go everywhere. They're going to go to South Bend, Indiana. They're going to go to Indianapolis. They're going to hit Michigan. They're going to hit Green Bay and Milwaukee and Wisconsin. Listen now to Alejandro Mayorkas saying we are going to fund cities. Hundreds of billions of dollars of money is going to be sent to cities in order to take care of all of these quote-unquote migrants, illegals, these invaders. And when asked specifically, he goes, no, they're going to get welfare. They're getting all the welfare they want. We're going to give them housing. We're going to give them food. We're going to give them shelter, EBT, food stamps, health care. They're getting everything. And you, the dumb gringo, us, we're going to pay for it. Roll cut 15A, Mike.
Can you tell us more about the steps that DHS is taking to support those cities elsewhere as, you know, this surge affects not just that geography, but other cities and states across the country?
I would say a number of things. Number one, we're grateful to Leader Schumer and Congress for the Emergency Food and Shelter Program funding in the omnibus this past December of $800 million. That's a significant increase over the prior year's funding of $150 million. We're working very closely with cities and communities along the border and in the interior of the United States. We need the system fixed.
Thank you. Yeah, right. You notice they don't want to enforce the laws. No. So catch and release, and then we disseminate them. We release them to all the key areas we want around the country, especially red and purple states, but everywhere. And we pay for all this. And then, wink, wink, fix the system. And when they say fix the system, you know what they mean? Comprehensive immigration reform, i.e. amnesty. So, overwhelm the system. It's Cloward Piven. You just overwhelm the system and then come in and say, we're the solution. What's the solution? Amnesty, amnestio, legal pathway. And boom, permanent third world country, permanent democratic rule. 617-266-6868. Angelo in Revere. Thanks for holding, Angelo, and welcome.
These immigrants, they're not paying taxes. They don't tell us where our taxpayers' money go. They don't know how this country works. They're on the dole. God bless them. They have nowhere to go. But in the same thing, the Democrats are using their weakness, and they're not knowledgeable of what's really going on, so they're victims. And they're the ones that are making this political mess. So I'm just about ready to blow up here. But we'll get through it, I think. I don't know how, but we got to get through it. What do you think?
Well, Angelo, look, I think there's no question. This issue now alone, Trump is in the White House. I'm telling you right now, this is going to that and Ukraine are going to single-handedly propel Trump into the White House. So this is a disaster. Now, apparently, I'm just going by what the media is saying, and these are media outlets very friendly to Biden. And they're admitting that the Biden regime had no idea that the numbers would be this massive, this historic, this unprecedented. So they couldn't believe the scale of the crisis now at the border. So again, like the withdrawal from Afghanistan, they blew it. And now they don't know what to do. They're up a creek without a paddle because they're committed to ending Title 42. And they can't push the migrants away or the illegals away because their base will never allow them to deport illegals. So Trump, on this issue alone, all he has to do is, I am going to secure the border. I'm going to end and stop this invasion, and we're going to track down every single illegal that's come in, and we're going to send them back to their home countries. We're going to deport every single one of them. And the country is going to go, amen, brother. So whether they realize it or not, they've just handed the election to Trump on a silver platter. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very, very quickly. Listen now. These are Chicago residents, south side of Chicago, predominantly black neighborhood. They now hear they're going to be bringing in even more migrants into Chicago. They're being bussed in by the feds. This is Mayorkas. This is Biden. Into a migrant respite center on the south shore of Chicago, and they're not happy. They say, we've got homelessness, we've got drugs, we've got crime, we've got violence, we've got fentanyl, we've got so many issues you wouldn't believe it. And now you're going to be bringing in even more problems? Listen to Chicago residents. They are protesting, saying, Chicago is full. We cannot take one more illegal alien. Roll cut 27. Mike.
What's important is that we really establish that this is a humanitarian crisis, and we're here.
South Shore residents responded with resounding rejection.
While this crisis may constitute an emergency for the city of Chicago, it does not constitute an emergency for the South Shore community.
Incoming migrants have overwhelmed district police stations by the hundreds.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Hello.
But city leaders could barely eke out a word of the details about a proposed respite center at the former South Shore High School.
When it comes to the total number of people at South Shore at any given point in time, it is fluid. We'd start with 250, 500.
How could you do that without consulting us? I am concerned with safety in the area.
I'm with the residents of the South Shore. And again, notice, you did all this without even asking us? So you're going to be, by the way, they're having them sleep in police stations. They're putting them up in high schools. They're putting them up in local motels and hotels and stuff. And they're like, we're paying for all this? We can barely take care of our own? And now you do this and you don't even ask us? You didn't even consult us? And notice, it's a humanitarian crisis. And they're like, oh, please, spare us the liberal BS. I'm telling you, New York cannot take one more illegal. Boston cannot take another illegal. LA cannot take another illegal. The country is not going to accept this, and it shouldn't. Now, here is what I would do. If Governor Abbott is smart, this is what you do. You load up the buses, send them to Martha's Vineyard. I'm telling you. I want all of these predominantly white liberal enclaves. Let them bear the brunt of all of this massive illegal immigration and this invasion. Notice where they're putting them. They're putting them in New York City. They're putting them on the South Shore in Chicago. They're putting them either in minority areas or in working middle class areas. No. Send them to Nantucket. Send them to the Hamptons in New York. Send them to the Vineyard. Send them to Wellesley. Let the Moonbats. Put them in front of Maura Healey's house. Put them in front of Michelle Wu's house. You want your sanctuary city? You got them. You got them. You phony, you frauds, you. Now Abbott needs to play hardball. Send them to Hollywood. Send them to Malibu. Send them to Georgetown in Washington, D.C. That's where most Democrats live. Or in Chevy Chase in Maryland, a big, luxurious, high-end suburb that Markey has his mansion in. Or Bethesda. Predominantly white, very upper class, overwhelmingly liberal. Dump them right there. Right there. You want them? You got them. 617-266-6868 is the number. Harry in Maine. Thanks for holding, Harry, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning. I agree with everything you said, but that's not going to solve the problem. But having said that, I have no issue with what you just suggested. But the very first clip you played this morning of Mayorkas, that clip was nothing more than lip service. And by the way, the new rule that's going to replace Title 42, in case the audience doesn't know, it presumes that most migrants are ineligible for asylum if they pass through other countries first, if they go through other countries without first seeking protection there. And if they're denied the protection, then they're supposedly allowed to come to the United States. Well, that's more lip service. What a joke trying to enforce that type of a policy. Just window dressing. This whole onslaught, by the way, of all the illegals, Jeff, is designed to destroy the middle class in this country. And when you're in a hole, Jeff, in business world or in life in general, what do you do to get out of the hole? You stop digging, okay? So the shovel's in three hands right now. Mayorkas is the Secretary of Homeland Security. Who's the border czar, Jeff?
Kamala Harris.
Okay. And who does she report to, Jeff?
Joe Biden.
Three shovels right now. You got Mayorkas, you got Kamala Harris, and you got Joe Biden. The Republicans have had ample time to build a case. You got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. On a side note, you notice the Democrats, they're going after Clarence Thomas. Why? To undermine the Supreme Court. With all this other stuff going on, they're taking the focus over here to continue to destroy our country and to destroy the judicial system. When you have Jim Jordan on today, you need to ask him, why aren't we not only impeaching Mayorkas, but we should also be bringing simultaneous impeachment with Harris and against Joe Biden. And this will also hold the Republican Party accountable, because whether it's successful or not, it'll expose them. They have the evidence, they have the videos, they've got witnesses, they've got everything they possibly could need to bring a case. And they've had it for months. They've had it for years. And they just won't go for an impeachment. By going for impeachment, it exposes the Republicans. Whether we're successful or not in that regard, it's going to show the American public where the heart and souls of the Republicans are in this issue. And that's my take on it, Jeff. It's very disheartening when you see homeless veterans, homeless Americans that are already in the streets. Obviously, there's mental illness going on in this country, and we can't even take care of our own. And now we're bringing all these people in, and you said it earlier, and you said it best. They're all looking for handouts. They're coming over thinking they're entitled, and they don't pay taxes. They just show up and expect to live the life.
Amen. Harry, drop the mic. I could not have said it better myself. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very, very quickly, because the lines are jammed. I want you to, this is what the mainstream media is reporting about the migrants. This is what they're admitting about the migrants. So they're these illegal aliens. So they're basically, they're admitting, they go, look, it's a racket. They come across the border and they just claim credible fear. That's what they're told by lawyers and NGOs and the Soros-backed organizations and by our own State Department, which we're funding. Our State Department is telling them, you just get here and claim credible fear that you're afraid to live in your own country and you want asylum, and Uncle Sam can't stop you. They just process you. You'll get a court date. In some cases, you won't even get a court date. They release you into the interior of the United States. And from that moment on, you're here. Welcome to the land of milk and honey. Listen now to who's really coming. And this is the best of them. Okay, I'm not talking the coyotes, the drug smugglers, the criminals, those that are coming from the emptied prisons and the mental asylums. This is the Los Angeles Times. Quote, Mary Otei, 33 of Nigeria, carried her sleeping 4-year-old on her back while holding her 10-year-old's hand. She said they had flown to Brazil. So she flew from Nigeria to Brazil, then walked and bussed through Bolivia, Peru, and onward into Mexico, taking a month to get to America. Quote, I came for a good life for my kids, she said. I have no relatives here and no job in Nigeria. So they're openly admitting it. No, and I'm not fleeing persecution. I'm not. I mean, if I'm fleeing persecution, I could have just stayed in Brazil. No. I went to Brazil, and then I went through Bolivia, and then through Peru, and then through Mexico, and here I am. Why? Because, hey, I want a slice of the American pie for me and my kids. Now, one more. Just here. Here's another one. This is the Associated Press, AP. According to the Associated Press, they interviewed migrants from Venezuela. One of them, quote, listen to this, Ricardo Marquez, a 30-year-old Venezuelan man, arrived at a shelter in McAllen, Texas, after crossing the border with his wife and 5-month-old child in Brownsville, Texas. Why did they leave? According to them, they left Venezuela because his daughter needs surgery. He says she's sick. She needs surgery. We can't get the kind of surgery in Venezuela that you can get here into the United States. And so we were told the border is open. So we made the trek all the way here. They will give us free health care, and they will give surgery to my daughter. I mean, I can keep going. I can go on. And again, New York Times, interviewing so-called migrants from Nicaragua. Another one all the way from Belarus. I'm coming here for a better life. For me, my wife, and my children. They're not fleeing persecution. Now, in a way, look, I blame Biden because, say what you want, these illegals that are coming, it's a rational choice on their part. If the dumb gringo, if we're going to be so stupid as to provide a pathway legally by breaking our law, providing some ridiculous pathway, saying, no, just come. Your daughter needs surgery? Come. Hey, you want to put all your children on welfare? Come. Hey, you want to live in the land of opportunity? Yeah? You want to make some good money under the table? Huh? While you collect welfare and the dumb American taxpayers? They take care of your shelter and your housing, and we give you even clothes and computers and iPads and sneakers. Now, why wouldn't I come? If I'm living in some third world or second world miserable poor country, I'd be like, yeah, if they're that stupid to let me in, yeah, sure, I'll come. Now, there's billions of people like this. Billions. That's why this invasion could potentially be unlimited if it continues. Because the whole world has a sad tale or a sorry song to sing. They've got children that are sick. They need surgery. They want food. They want shelter. They want a better life. They want educational opportunities. Believe me, most of the world is poor. It's miserable. It's backward. There are very few countries in the world that are truly first world countries. So yes, do they want to live with us? Of course. Do they want us to pay everything for them? Of course. We allow people in simply because they want to come, then we are going to be flooded and overwhelmed to the point that there will no longer be a United States of America. You cannot put this many people on government assistance. It is literally economically, fiscally ruinous. It will bankrupt us. And yet, here we are. Here we are. The world's laughingstock. And if they appreciated us, if they were grateful, if they were like previous waves of legal immigrants who knew what it was to come to a better country and appreciate it and want to become Americans and did it the right way by respecting our laws, our sovereignty, our customs, our traditions, I'd say, okay, it's a different story. But let me tell you who we're bringing in. This is who we're bringing in. Let's not kid ourselves. So, in El Paso, Texas, it's overrun. El Paso now is no longer an American city. It is a third world hellhole. And you can see them now. There are so many migrants. The parks are full. They're sleeping outside in the parks. They're sleeping on the sidewalks. Trash, debris everywhere. Defecation, urination everywhere. In this part of El Paso, there are men, mostly men, sitting on the sidewalk with their backs against the wall of buildings. They've been given now free food, free water. They're being registered, processed, and now they're waiting to be bused to the destination of their choice. The local media is there wanting to see who these people are, where are they going, what are their intentions. So the journalists are now walking along the sidewalk, and you just see literally an army, a row of mostly men sitting down and just waiting to get on a bus. And one of the reporters speaks Spanish, and he says, so where do you want to go? And the person says, Florida. Where do you want to go? California. Where do you want to go? New York. So he's going name after name after name after name. A Mexican illegal man, he's a Mexican illegal, out of the blue, confronts the reporters, and he is livid because he's just gotten a ticket. And listen to him run his mouth. These are the kinds of people we're bringing in. Roll cut 44, Mike.
Yes, sir. Florida? Turn around. Shut the and leave my people alone. I got another ticket for helping my people out. Another ticket, bro. I got 2 of them this week. First one for giving out water, and for the third one for giving out food and helping out my people. And you guys, America, El Paso, El Paso PD, and the feds, the border patrol.
Hey, back up.
Don't touch my equipment. It hit me.
Now, you're gonna see what happens. You start destroying equipment out here? Come up, start yelling at a camera like a fool, and you want to know why people are upset?
Why are you questioning my people, sir?
You own them? So you're an owner?
No, these are my race. This is my bloodline. Read them all, and they're all my bloodline.
Hey, guess what? We are in America, and it's a free country. If you don't like it,
I'm an American too.
You can go. Okay, then understand the Constitution.
Now, the reason why he says I'm an American too, he points out a card. They gave him a card at the border, which a due date to go to immigration court, and it's 10 years. He's got 10 years. The court date is 10 years from now. And so they give him a card, and they go, yeah, okay, you got to just show up because we may have to deport you in 10 years. Yeah, like he's going to show up in court. Right. But the point is, the card, look at it. I'm an American too. I'm an American too. So you just cross the border, they give you a freaking card, and now you're automatically an American? But notice that. F America, F Texas, F El Paso, F you. This is my race. This is my bloodline. These are my people. 617-266-6868 is the number. Do me a favor, Mike. Play it again. These are the kind of illegal aliens Joe Biden is bringing in. Just, boy, look at the love they have for the United States, huh? Look how grateful they are to be here. Roll cut 44. This is a Mexican illegal confronting reporters who are just literally with their camera showing what the illegals are doing as they're waiting to get on buses. They're They're sitting on the sidewalk. There's trash everywhere. And they're just mostly men. And they're sitting down. And they're waiting to board a bus to go to whatever destination they want. And one of the reporters is Spanish or Spanish speaking, forgive me. And he's asking him, so where do you want to go? And they're, Florida, California, New York, Chicago. They're all giving different, states and cities. And then one guy who got a ticket, very upset. And roll it, Mike.
Yes, sir. Florida? Turn around. Shut the and leave my people alone. I got another ticket for helping my people out. Another ticket, bro. I got 2 of them this week. First one for giving out water, for the third one for giving out food and helping out my people. And you guys, America, El Paso PD, and the feds, the border patrol.
Hey, back up.
Don't touch my equipment.
It hit me.
Now you're gonna see what happens. You start destroying equipment out here. Come up, start yelling at a camera like a fool, and you want to know why people are upset?
Why are you questioning my people, sir?
You own them? So you're an owner?
No, these are my race. This is my bloodline. Read them all, they're all my bloodline.
Hey, guess what? We are an America, and it's a free country. If you don't like it,
I'm an American too.
You can go. Okay, then understand the Constitution.
You're not an American. They just gave you a stupid card to allow you to come into the country at the border. You're an illegal. That's what you are. But no more than that. These are my people. These are my people. This is my bloodline, bro. This is my bloodline, bro. F America, man. F you Americans. F Texas. F El Paso. F the Border Patrol. F the Texas. F the El Paso PD. F you. This is what you're... Look at the sense of entitlement. The grievance, the anti-Americanism. You think this guy would be on his hands and knees saying, thank you, oh my God, thank you. I left my hellhole and you dumb gringos let us in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Instead, look at them. They're like a conquering army. And the racism, my bloodline, my people, La Raza. That's what's coming into this country. Now, you tell me, you keep bringing millions and millions and millions of people like him. You tell me, we don't have a chance. We don't. I'm telling you right now, I would deport this guy's ass out so fast his head would spin. You hate America? You hate us? Really? F us? Nope. No. F you. Deport him. On the spot. Deport him. 617-266-6868. Mel in Saratoga. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. That last clip that you just played, that's in relationship to, like you said, the people on the South Shore of Chicago. They know the contempt that the illegal has for black people. And there's obvious evidence right there. Like you said, my people. But the business that I'm in, there's the backstretch of the racetrack around the country have been more or less transformed to Latin America and the illegals that are here in the country. And, I would say, it's more or less, it's a clique, and they want to more or less stick. There's no assimilation, basically, to what the American tradition is. And at one point, it was a few years ago, I'm an American who happens to be black, and I was called the N-word by one of these people that came across this border, entered this country illegally. And that, you got to look at Alejandro Mayorkas. You got to look, you'd have to figure out his ancestry has to come from communist Cuba. And I'm sure, like you say in politics, there's no coincidences in politics. Everything is planned. I would bet to say that this guy, even I'm 65 years old. This guy's 50 some odd years old, and he looks like he might be even in his 60s. But I'm sure his ancestry probably was on the side of Fidel Castro, communist Cuba. And that's how you destroy society and take it over. Communism, by destroying the society to take it over. So this guy, is purposely doing what he's doing to destroy the economy, destroy America, and all at the behest of, like you say, the UN, who is behind the Agenda 2030 to have us in a one world order and be controlled by the few. The masses are controlled by a few who benefit at the top. But I just, where's the U.S. Marshal Service? You know, and in my area, in my county, I've tried to get a hold of my sheriff to see if he was a constitutional sheriff. No reply. His name is Zurlo, Z-U-R-L-O, Zurlo, Sheriff Zurlo here in Saratoga County in New York. But no response. I mean, but at that level, the sheriff is our last stance against the federal government and the counties in which you live. And they all must come together across this country. All constitutional sheriffs across this country must come together. And if it comes down to having to deputize the American citizen against this invasion and the counties in which you live to supersede your local government, your city, your town, village governments, I mean, he's the last stand. And if these guys don't stick together, I think we're lost. Well, your opinion, please, Jeff.
Mel, look, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Look, sheriffs have to speak out. They got to stand up. I think we citizens now have to start being much more vocal. We got to start speaking out. And what I'm worried about, frankly, Mel, is your neck of the woods, because Eric Adams is now threatening to take all of these illegals that are coming to New York, because he claimed New York was a sanctuary city. Now he says they can't take any more. And he wants to start dumping them all over in neighboring counties, all the way up into northern New York, western New York. So they're going to be coming to your area. They've already got the buses lined up. So the illegals are dumped off in New York City, and then they're going to put them on fresh buses, and they're going to start dumping them off in your neck of the woods. So they're going to hit the rural areas. They're going to hit many of the rural states, many of the rural counties. This is deliberate. You're completely right. This is part of the globalist agenda. This is what they want. Flood and overwhelm the United States in order to break and bankrupt it. There will be no middle class left. The working class will be gone. America will be a third world country in which the many are controlled by the few. And that has been the globalist agenda and the globalist goal for decades now. And they've got their guy in the White House, and he's executing their plan to a T. To a T. And now the only question is, what will we do, and what will the border states do? And Abbott now is going to be holding a big press conference from what I'm hearing. He's fed up. The Texas National Guard is fed up. The residents of Texas are fed up. Arizona, by the way, is bleeding. Yuma, Arizona, they're pouring in through Yuma, Arizona. It's a human tidal wave. So, I mean, the facts don't lie. The pictures don't lie. The images don't lie. And Mel, I want to play one other quick cut, and I want to get your reaction. We have the actual footage. You can see them coming and coming and coming and coming. I mean, there's massive numbers. Overwhelming. 700,000 to 1 million. This is Mayorkas. Roll cut 45, Mike.
Is our border secure?
Our border is secure. Border is secure because we are maximizing our resources to deliver the most effective results to our border with the most extraordinary workforce in the world.
Now, all he's got to do is look at the other half of the screen. As the reporters are asking him questions, they all are covering it, and on the screen, you can see the other half. They're showing images, pictures. They're just coming across. I mean, they're just one after another, after waves, gangs of them. They're just coming and coming and coming. And this guy, the border's secure. Just look at the other half of the screen, for God's sakes. Mel, I'm going to ask Jim Jordan, should Mayorkas be impeached, Mel?
Well, in my opinion, if Jim Jordan doesn't say what I'm thinking, if he doesn't say this, get the ropes. I mean, if there's no strong words and then actions afterwards. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think he's in on it also. I mean, get the rope, because this is treason. And Ray Charles can see this. I mean, it's in front of our face.
You're dead on, Mel. I mean, look, this is coming to a town near you. Okay, 8 o'clock, you know what that means? Kuhner's Call Log, Caller of the Week.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, sponsored by MyPillow.com, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, Stephen.
Democrats are evil. They're the ones who always are the slavers. Look at the state of Massachusetts. The new brand of slaves are illegal aliens. They don't get no benefits. They don't get health care. State of Massachusetts sticks us for paying for their slaves. We have to pay for their health care. That's over $1 billion a year. You're paying to pay for Massachusetts' new slaves. Democrats stole over $3 billion in overcharged fees from every Massachusetts state resident. How does our governor want to spend that money? She wants to build housing for the new slaves who we're stuck paying for. They're evil. There's always been slavery. Look at all the human trafficking. Look at all the children that have disappeared, that have been dragged across the border by human traffickers. How many of them are working for Democrats? Democrats will never stop. They're driving you into slavery, stealing from you to pay for their slaves. Democrats are evil. They've always been evil. They always will be evil. Their theory will never stop. Their perversion will never stop. They need to be put down once and for all and ended forever.
Be here every weekday on the Kuhner Report between 6 and 10 a.m. And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log. Sponsored by MyPillow.com.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Okay, my friends. By the way, the callers all this week on fire. Fire, fire, fire. Just when I think you can't get better, you do. So again, I want to thank all of the callers. You make Kuhner Country, you make the Kuhner Report one of the best shows on talk radio. My friends, I love MyPillow. You've heard me say it before, but I'll say it again. MyPillow 2.0 just came out. It is the best, most luxurious, comfortable pillow you will ever sleep on. Mike Lindell and his team have done it again. So if you want to get a perfect night's sleep, call right now. 1-800-972-2316, 1-800-972-2316. They have an incredible deal. You buy one MyPillow 2.0, you get the other one absolutely free. Just use the code WRKO. So go to MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, and don't forget to use the code WRKO. Okay, many of you are texting the Kuhner Man, emailing the Kuhner Man. You can text us 70470 saying, Jeff, please play that cut one more time. I'll do it. Okay, I'll play it one more time. Why? Because this sums up the attitude of many who are illegally now pouring across our border. Roll cut 44. See, this is diversity, huh? This is what makes America stronger. This is what Mayorkas says we need more of. Roll cut 44. Mike.
Yes, sir. Florida? Turn around. Shut the and leave my people alone. I got another ticket for helping my people out. Another ticket, bro. I got 2 of them this week. First one for giving out water, for the third one for giving out food and helping out my people. You guys, America, El Paso PD, and the feds, the Border Patrol.
Hey, back up.
Don't touch my equipment. It hit me.
Now, you're gonna see what happens. You start destroying equipment out here? Come up, start yelling at a camera like a fool, and you want to know why people are upset?
Why are you questioning my people, sir?
You own them? So you're an owner?
No, these are my race. This is my bloodline. Read them all, and they're all my bloodline.
Guess what? We are in America, and it's a free country. If you don't like it,
I'm an American too.
You can go. Okay, then understand the Constitution.
Yeah, well, this is coming to a town near you. This. But not one. Hordes of them. Buses of them. That's what's coming to a town near you. That's what Biden is allowing into this country. This is what I keep saying over and over again. It's the difference between a legal immigrant and an illegal. An illegal is a squatter. An illegal is a criminal. An illegal is someone who comes in, breaks our laws, and is entitled, in their view, to take everything they can from us. And it's basically, it's F you. F you, bro. F you, F America, F Texas, F El Paso, F the El Paso PD. Hey, bro, it's my bloodline, it's my race. That's the hatred. That's the entitlement. That's the anti-Americanism. That's the mentality that you're bringing into the United States of America. Now, you can bring in 10, 50, 100 of these. It's not the end of the world. You bring in millions and millions and millions and millions. Honestly, you might as well just blow your brains out. So, either we summon the will to defend our borders, to defend our sovereignty, to defend our homeland from this invasion, or we wave the white flag of surrender. But make no mistake about it now. Biden has officially declared war on the United States. 617-266-6868. James in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, James, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, James?
Not bad. Not bad. I feel bad for what's going on here. We're okay now, but who knows what's going to happen. You know, I blame Biden and Mayorkas, and I'll tell you why. There's a region called the Darien Gap that is connecting South America to Central America. In this region, Mayorkas, through the Biden regime, has set up a camp, and that camp was exposed by Alex Jones. He had contact with a gentleman that was down there and did some video interviews. Mayorkas actually flew down there, and they actually have tents and a camp set up for all these refugees all over the world, and signs that are there in a big sign that's in like 8 different languages for these people to come through. Not only did Alex expose that, he also exposed that there's a bunch of Chinese nationals coming in as well, not just seeking asylum. So I have to ask you, is this not yet an invasion to destabilize the country? I mean, we can never be, America can never be taken over from the outside, but only from within. I really don't feel good about this, and it's only going to get worse. And Biden and Mayorkas failed to uphold, I believe it's Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, to stop any invasion of any state protected federally. They are actually created treason, an act of treason.
Oh, there's no question. No, this is the Trojan horse. You're right. Look, America can never be defeated from without. But, you know, it was the great historian Arnold Toynbee that said great countries and great civilizations are rarely defeated. They die from suicide. They commit suicide. This is our suicide attempt. And this illegal invasion, among other things, is the Trojan horse. And you want to let him in because what you're bringing in are 2 things. This is Biden's socialist army, or to be more accurate, it's Obama's socialist army. All of them have to be put on welfare because they come from very poor countries, very low skill, very low education. I'm not criticizing them. It's just not their fault, but that's the countries they come from. Many of them are illiterate in their own countries, never mind in English. So, of course, they're going to need massive government assistance. How else can they survive? They are here to help perpetuate democratic one-party rule, and God forbid, if somebody complains, that's going to be their socialist army. You look at that thug, and he's a thug, that I just played. He's not the only one. There are millions of them now that they're bringing in. So if they need to activate these people, they will. and they make them completely dependent upon government, completely dependent upon upon the Democratic Party, and they got them. They own them lock, stock, and barrel. And you're completely right about that jungle, that area between South America and Central America. It's a gap through the jungle. We set up a camp there, the State Department did, and telling so many of these migrants, go El Norte, telling them from Russia, from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Iran. My God, the terrorists we could be admitting from Iran, from Africa, from China, and just telling them, go. All you got to do is put your foot on American soil, you're in. So this is deliberate, it's premeditated, it's intentional. And the goal is to hollow out and destroy America from within. And they're doing it without almost no opposition from the Republican Party or from the media. It's incredible. I mean, it's capture America without a shot being fired. 617-266-6868 is the number. No, I was just telling Mike and Sandy, Kuhner man's getting screwed once again. I mean, that's the story of my life. So, as many of you know, I am a legal immigrant to the United States. I'm a naturalized American, originally from Montreal, Canada. And I came to this country years ago, but I did it legally. I did it the right way. And it cost me over $20,000. Not that I'm complaining, but in lawyers' fees, legal fees, background checks, criminal record checks, drug checks. I had to produce so many diplomas. I was the best person for the job. No other American could fill the job. All the qualifications. They had me go through so many hoops. You had to get a visa, then you get a green card, then eventually you get citizenship. It went on and on and on. I'm not complaining. Please, I would do anything to be a citizen of the United States. My point is just, how many legal immigrants like me, naturalized Americans who came to this country and we did it the legal way. We respected this country, its laws, its sovereignty, its traditions, what it stands for. Instead, I mean, think about the Kuhner man. If I knew, you mean just come in through Tijuana? You mean that's it? So all I got to do is go down to Mexico, pay for a $500 flight, and then just walk across Brownsville or El Paso and say, hey, I'm credible fear. Where's my asylum? And that's it. And by the way, again, I'm not complaining. I had to prove that I had a job waiting for me here, that I'd be paying taxes, I'd be productive. I had to prove to them that I wouldn't be a ward of the state. I never, in my entire life, never mind all my time in the United States, I have never taken a penny in welfare or social assistance or nothing. All I do is work and pay taxes. Instead, I would have saved all that money on legal fees, all of the paperwork, the headaches, the hoops, everything. But more than that, I come on in. Oh, hey, free housing? This is great. Free food? Thank you. An iPad? Really? An iPhone? Really? What size? A 42 waist. Yep. Levi's jeans? Sure. Can I get black and blue? Can I get, both? Sure. 42 waist, 34 length. 34, 42. Thank you. Sneakers? I don't like the Nike sweatshop policy. Do you guys have New Balance? No? Just Nike? Okay, I'll take the Nike sneakers. What the hell? EBT cards, food stamps. My kids, educate them for free? No problem. Health insurance, free? Thank you. Now, I will say this. This is because that's the way I am. If I got all of these freebies, thanks to the U.S. taxpayer, I wouldn't be, unlike that guy you heard the clip I was playing, I wouldn't be going, F you, bro. F America, F Americans, bro. No, I wouldn't be doing that. I'm a little classier than that. I'd be like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can I get a couple of Diet Cokes? Can you throw it at? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, many people ask me, Jeff, if you're an illegal, you're now in Brownsville or El Paso or Yuma, Arizona. You can pick anywhere. Where would you go? I swear to you. You're not going to believe me, but I swear to you. I'd go exactly where I am now. I'd say Boston, Massachusetts, please. But it's cold. You can go to California. You can stay in Texas. You can go to, I don't know, you can go to Florida. Nothing beats the welfare like in Massachusetts. Do you understand? $60,000. They cover everything. But it's a little cold in the wintertime. $60K is $60K. And maybe I work a little bit under the table, huh? Hey, you can't beat that. Listen, my family and I can vacation in Florida on the U.S. taxpayer's dime. But in terms of welfare, nobody gives you better welfare and the most welfare than in Massachusetts. No, I got a new slogan. Give me welfare or give me death. This is the cradle of welfareism. So, no, give me 4 tickets, me, my wife, and my 2 bambinos, my 2 kids, Boston, Massachusetts. We'd never leave. 6-1. So I'd probably, end up at the same place I am now. Except I wouldn't be working for a living. Everybody else would be working for me. And I'd be putting my feet up. You think I'd be getting up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning like I did today? And show prep and show prep the night before and break my back? I'd be putting my feet up. Now, unlike that illegal from Mexico, I wouldn't be saying, F you, bro, F America. I'd be saying, no, raise my Diet Coke to my children. By the way, all the kids would be on welfare too. My wife would be on, everybody's going to be on welfare. Raise our glass, to America. To America. This is the American dream. Nick in Barnstable. Thanks for holding, Nick, and welcome.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. I'm a first-time caller to your show.
Welcome, Nick.
And you have a wonderful show, and I'll tell you, the last caller took my thunder away. But that being said, you and your callers are making some just great points. Your question was, before you went to the break, how do we stop this problem? And what do you do when you have an avalanche? You're sort of helpless. How do you turn the Titanic away that's heading to the iceberg? Maybe you can't. The biggest problem we have in this country.
Nick, can you please hang on? You're on a roll. A couple minutes. After the break, I will come right back, take Nick's call, all of your calls. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're going to go to Nick in Barnstable, but first, Congressman Jim Jordan was supposed to be joining us now for an exclusive Newsmaker interview. Don't worry, we will still have Congressman Jordan on. It's just been slightly pushed back. He will be on next segment at 8:45. Now, please, everyone, stop what you're doing. This is going to be an incredible opportunity for many of you. You can join Congressman Jim Jordan. He will be in Massachusetts speaking at several events. One of them will be at the barn of Jim Lyons, the former chairman of the Mass State GOP. It is going to be Saturday, May 20th at 2:30 p.m. So Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, May 20th, 2:30 p.m. It's going to be at the Lions Barn in Andover, Mass. Tickets are still available. You have to register if you want to go. Go to the bostonbroadside.com, bostonbroadside.com. You have all the information there to go and register. Furthermore, there are 3 people really responsible for helping us get Congressman Jordan on our show and for bringing him to Massachusetts. Number 1 is Rick Green, a huge player in the Mass Republican Party, a warrior. I want to thank Rick Green. 2, obviously, Jim Lyons, former chairman of the Mass State GOP. And 3, you know him, you love him, former state rep Jeff Deal, who ran for governor against Maura Healey and unfortunately lost. So again, I want to give a big thank you and kudos to Rick Green, Jim Lyons, and Jeff Deal. If you want to meet Jim Jordan in person, ask him questions, listen to him speak at these events. There's a couple of them. One is at the Lions Barn. Go to bostonbroadside.com, bostonbroadside.com. All the details are there. I urge all of you, it's going to be an incredible event. Register, go, see him in person, ask him anything you want. Believe me, it's going to be a day and an event you will remember. Okay, I want to go right back to Nick in Barnstable. Nick, you were saying the key question is, what can we do? And it's like an avalanche. It's like the Titanic. How can you turn the Titanic around when it's about to hit the iceberg? Please, Nick, pick up where you left off.
I certainly will, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue the train of thought, which actually goes back 45 years ago, when China had Hong Kong, the territory given to them by the English in order to have a commercial country, a country that we could have better relations with. This is how far back this problem goes to. So we are all on the Titanic right now, heading for an iceberg, okay? And as you alluded to, Jeff, this country is rotting from within. We are being attacked. We have been being attacked for 45 years. And as you mentioned earlier, some of the people that are coming in, all you have to do is watch your TV set. A lot of the people coming in are young, very fit people from China. Now, a question I have is, first of all, how do they get out of China? It's a communist country. They are coming into this country not with uniforms on. They are setting up shop in this country. Just follow your common sense train of thought. So we have a much, much bigger problem. We're on a ship. We can't turn it right now. Our administration has not done one thing right. The Biden administration, Mayorkas lies to our face. Joe Biden, when he can speak, lies to your face, and so does everybody else. We're all woken up to this. It's a big, big problem. I'll tell you a quick story. In the late 70s, early 60s, I grew up in Foxborough, Massachusetts, and my dad used to work at the Foxborough Company. And he told me, hey, Foxborough Company is going to be one of the first, if not the first company to set up shop in China. My reaction to my father was, what are they doing? What is this country doing that for? They're a communist country. Okay? So they set up shop, and actually you can go onto YouTube. You can put in 1983, Ronald Reagan, visit to China at Foxborough Company.
I think we lost Nick, but Nick, are you still there? No, we lost Nick. He just dropped. Look, a couple of quick points. You're right. the Border Patrol is noticing that some of these migrants, a good chunk of them, are coming from communist China. Why? Many of them are young, fit men. Why? They're coming in from the Middle East, especially from places like Iran. Well, we know that Iran wants to send terrorists into the United States. They're coming in from Russia, from Belarus. Putin is now, we are at war with Russia. Let's not kid ourselves over Ukraine. All I'm just saying is you're allowing people into this country that could very easily be terrorists, want to do us harm, want to subvert and destroy us from within. None of these people are being vetted. We don't know who they are. We're not looking at their backgrounds. Who does this? Look, as I said many times before, forget on a macro level. Our country is like our home. Who leaves their door wide open? The front door, the back door, the garage. Imagine if you did that and you just left the door open and you said, just come on in to everybody, anybody, just come on in. What kind of people would come into your house? You don't check who's coming in. You don't lock the door. You don't vet people who come into your home. And if you don't want somebody to come into your home, you say no. But you have now, according to Mayorkas and Biden, we have no right to say no. So squatters start coming into your home. A country's borders is like your property lines. It's like your fence. Well, you take it down, anybody comes in. And they're coming in, you don't know who they are, strangers off the street, and they live in your house, they shack up in your basement, they eat out of your fridge, they raid your medicine cabinet, they take over your whole house, and after a while, how many of these can you sustain? 2, 3, 4, 5? After a while, you go bankrupt. And how would squatters treat your house? How would squatters treat you? Do they respect you? Do they respect your house? That's an illegal immigrant. A legal immigrant is the exact opposite. A legal immigrant is somebody who dates your daughter, dates your son, then says, I'd like to marry your daughter or your son, says, I want to become a legitimate part of your family. They're invited into your home. They're respectful in your home. They're respectful of you and your family. This is the difference between a legal and an illegal immigrant. It's not just a question of checking off a box. It's everything. It's attitude. It's mentality. It's what they bring. It's what they want to bring. It's their intention. So we are bringing in a massive population into our country that don't speak English, don't want to assimilate, have nothing to do with our culture. They're here to take as much as they can take and live off our welfare system and work under the table. They're here to live off the fat of the land. They're here to suck us dry, man. And we're just going to stand back and allow our country to be completely overrun and overwhelmed? And you better believe it, China is behind this. China and the United Nations are 1,000% behind this. They are conquering us from within. And this is their Trojan horse. And I want to ask all of you, you really believe Biden is not doing this deliberately now? No one can be this incompetent. If you wanted to destroy America, what would you do differently than what Biden has been doing now for the last 2.5 years? I could not have destroyed America more or better if I wanted to. Deb in Foxborough. Thanks for holding, Deb, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Hi, Deb.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. Quick, Deb, because we got Jim Jordan on the other side. Go ahead.
Yep. Jeff, I find it fascinating that we're letting in illegals from all over the world, and yet we refused the real refugees from Cuba because they were probably predominantly conservative, God-loving, family-oriented immigrants. So, I'm spellbound by this. Well, not actually, but I'll hang up and see what.
No, Deb, you're completely right. Legitimate refugees fleeing legitimate persecution, no. They don't want. Jim Jordan next. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, we're just waiting to make connection with the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan. He will be in Massachusetts for a series of events. You can go to bostonbroadside.com if you want to register and attend, bostonbroadside.com. He will be in Massachusetts on Saturday, May 20th for basically his Freedom Caucus drive to create Massachusetts' version of the Freedom Caucus that Jim Jordan spearheaded nationally. Do we have the congressman? Okay, excellent. Congressman Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report again, and how are you?
I'm doing fine. Good to be with you.
Congressman, I got to ask, obviously, you're going to be in our state next weekend. Why are you coming to Massachusetts, and why should so many of the faithful listeners of Kuhner Country attend your events?
Well, we will come out. We're going to talk about what's going on in Congress and the attack on our First Amendment liberties we see from the left, and the things that we're trying to do to stop Joe Biden's crazy policies, whether it's the border that's no longer the border, whether it's $2 gas that's now $5 gas in most places, a lot of places, and what they've done with with inflation. So we'll be talking about those issues and how and trying to be helpful to Republicans and conservatives in the great state of Massachusetts.
Congressman, I know it's going to be Saturday, May 20th. You're going to be holding several events. I'm probably going to be at one of them at Jim Lyons' barn. I'm urging all of my listeners to come, listen to you, meet you, greet you. You can go to bostonbroadside.com, bostonbroadside.com to register and get all the details. Congressman, as you know, Title 42 was lifted, midnight last night. It is now a full-scale invasion. We're looking at hundreds of thousands of migrants pouring across the border. Is it time now to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas?
Well, that is certainly warranted. I've said all along that in the end, that'll be a decision that has to be made by the full Republican conference in the House of Representatives. And so we will, we'll talk with Speaker McCarthy, who I think is doing a great job. We just passed, by the way, yesterday, I think the best, strongest immigration enforcement, border security legislation to ever pass the House of Representatives. We passed that yesterday. Does the right thing on asylum, on visa overstays, on parole, and basically says this. It says if you come to this country seeking asylum, we will take your claim, but you will either be detained or you will be returned while your claim is evaluated. You will not be released into the country as Joe Biden has been doing now to the tune of over 5 million illegal migrants over the last 28 months. So that's the central feature of the legislation. It's the key feature of the legislation. So that's what needs to happen. But somehow I don't think it's going to get through the Senate, and I don't think Joe Biden would support it. So I think we're going to have more of this terrible situation on our border that we've seen now for 28 months.
Congressman, I've got to ask you, I know you support the impeachment of Mayorkas. I do as well. The country now, it's a crisis. It's getting worse by the minute, by the hour, by the day. What is Kevin McCarthy waiting for? If we can't impeach Mayorkas now, the damage may be done. It may be too late. Is it time now for Republicans to have a sense of urgency and take the fight to Mayorkas and the Democrats?
Yeah, and I do think there's a sense of urgency, and that's why we passed the legislation. As I said, if we impeach Secretary Mayorkas, that'll be a decision that I think the entire we have to have the entire Congress. It's not just the Speaker. It's the Speaker. It's the members of the Judiciary Committee who will have to do the impeachment proceedings. It's the entire Republican conference, and we have a small majority. So we'll see. Is that something we want to do? Because if we do that, let's say we were even successful, who's Joe Biden going to put in? He's going to put in someone just as bad. All those questions need to be researched. But certainly to the fundamental question, is it warranted? I think it definitely is, because we've never seen anything like this. I think it's a dereliction of his duty. But again, we have to decide that as a full Republican conference.
Is there anything the state of Texas can do? Is there anything the state of Arizona can do? In other words, if you weren't Congressman or Chairman Jim Jordan, but you were Governor Jim Jordan of Texas, and this is now happening on your watch, what would you do if you were the governor of Texas?
Well, I think I would be doing what they are doing. They're going to court. They're doing anything and everything they can. They're bringing out some of their own local law enforcement, state law enforcement to help with certain situations. I would be doing, and then I think I would also be doing what Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis have been doing, which is sometimes shipping the migrants to Democrat states and say, look, we're dealing with this every day. We want you to have to understand what we're going through. Because it's funny how they complain now. You going on in New York City, and it's like, well, welcome to the world that Texas and Arizona and these other states have had to deal with. Maybe if they see what it's like, instead of them complaining to the governors of those states, they'll complain to Joe Biden and say, hey, change your policies, pass the legislation we passed yesterday. That would solve the problem.
Congressman, I know you can't divulge too much. It was a secret or behind closed door meeting, but you had John Brennan, former CIA director, testify about the Hunter Biden laptop. Apparently he did confirm, from what I've been reading in media reports, that this was a political operation. Can you elaborate? What did you find out from Brennan and from others yesterday in that closed door testimony?
Yeah, I mean, it's a total political operation. Tony Blinken, working for the Biden campaign, now, of course, our Secretary of State, calls up Mike Morell on October 17, 2020, says, hey, what do you think about this Russia, this laptop of Russia influence on it? What do you think about all this? Gets Morell working on it. Later that same day, Blinken emails Mike Morell a USA Today article about the issue. That article, by the way, makes it into the copy to the letter signed by the 51. Then the Biden campaign further tells Morell, when you got the letter ready, here are the journalists we want you to send it to. And of course, when they used the letter, just like they wanted, Mike Morell said, my intention was to give Biden something to push back on Trump in that final debate. Biden does that. He references the letter signed by 51 former intel officials. He references it as if it was organic, as if it didn't happen with coordination from his campaign. When it's all done, when that debate's over, Steve Ricchetti calls up Mike Morell and thanks him for what he did. And of course, Steve Ricchetti is the chairman of the Biden campaign. So all that happens, political coordination. And then the other key fact that we've now learned from a different member, Mr. David Carrion, who signed that letter, former CIA employee, he had something pending in front of the CIA. CIA reviews any publication, any book you're going to write. If you worked at the CIA, they review it for classified information. He had something pending. He gets a call from the CIA Publication Review Board. So a employee of the CIA calls him up, says, hey, we approved your book. By the way, there's this letter that's being circulated. You might want to sign on. Reads him the letter, and he agrees to sign. So that is someone, employee of the CIA, actively recruiting someone to sign on to something that was used in a completely political fashion. That is not supposed to happen. It looks like it did. We're investigating that as well.
That's incredible. Congressman, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are we now looking at a gross abuse of power by the deep state, and especially the CIA? Is that what we're witnessing?
Here's what we know. We know the CIA reviewed and approved the letter. They do that for, checking for classified information issues. And then we know that someone on that review board at the CIA told one of the signers about the letter, and he agreed to sign. So, when you're recruiting people to sign, you're not supposed to do that. That's for sure. And frankly, people are allowed to exercise their free speech rights. I'm totally for that. It's one of the biggest concerns I have is what's happening to our First Amendment liberties. But when you do it with the title, with your name on the letter, because it wasn't just John Brennan signing the letter as citizen, it was John Brennan, former director of the CIA. It wasn't just Mike Morell, it was Mike Morell, former acting director of the CIA. They signed it with their title. That gives it the weight that it had with the American people. And then that document was used to suppress the story about the laptop itself. that is our concern, and that's why we're investigating.
One final question on this, Congressman. When you confronted John Brennan yesterday, what was his excuse? I mean, on what grounds could they claim that this was a Russian information campaign when they knew that was a lie? Did he admit that they lied?
Yeah. No, what he said is, we never said it was. We said it looked like it could be. That's their out. They caveated the language, and that was their out. So that's the excuse. But Morrell was more specific when he said, when Morrell said, "Look, I did this because I wanted Joe Biden to have something to push back on. He actually believed Russia was involved. Turned out that was not accurate, and he wanted Joe Biden to be the next president. I think Mike Morrell really wanted to be the next CIA director in a Biden administration, and of course that didn't happen."
Interesting. Congressman, before I let you go, one other quick question. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask it. Chair Comer, and many others held a major press conference earlier this week documenting really the influence peddling operation of the Biden crime family. You laid out at least 20 shell companies that were used by Hunter Biden, family members, business associates, taking money from China, taking money from Romania. It was pay to play at its absolute worst. How bad is it? And do you believe that the Biden family now committed bribery and treason against the United States? Were they accepting money in exchange for U.S. policy positions?
Well, Jeff, here's what we know. It all looks really, really strange because you got 170 suspicious activity reports. And I always tell people they're not activity reports. They're suspicious activity reports, many of them coming from the Obama-Biden administration Treasury Department. So they put these reports together, 170 of them, thousands of pages of bank records, multiple LLCs, over 20 LLCs that are receiving money from some shady characters in foreign countries, foreign entities, giving money to these LLCs, and they're paying out millions of dollars to multiple members of the Biden family. And I always say, what's the fundamental question is, what were they doing? What was the work? What was the service? What did they provide? What was going on? You can't get an answer to that question. What's a legitimate business that doesn't? You can't really get an answer to that question. That's the concern. That's what we're investigating.
How do you think this is going to end, Congressman? Do you think eventually the crimes of the Biden family and Joe Biden's involvement, do you think eventually this is going to be exposed for the American people? Will he be unmasked?
I know that's Chairman Comer's. That's what he's after. He's going to do the work to get the facts and the truth on the table, and we're just going to keep after it. Hey, Jeff, I got to run. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next Saturday. Thank you so much, Congressman. We have been talking with House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, Congressman from Ohio. Again, I want to thank Rick Green. He clearly is the mastermind behind getting Jim Jordan here in Massachusetts. Huge player in the Mass GOP. Jim Lyons, former chairman of the Mass GOP. And of course, Jeff, the real deal. They're trying to rebuild the Mass GOP into a real conservative party and a real conservative force. So, anyway, if you want to attend any of these events on Saturday, May 20th, I'm going to try to make it to the barn, Jim Lyons' legendary barn, where Congressman Jordan will be speaking, taking questions. That's going to take place 2:30 next Saturday, May 20th. If you want to make reservations and you have to RSVP to attend, go to bostonbroadside.com, bostonbroadside.com. They have all the information there. I hope to see all of you at that event. So, Jim Jordan says he wants to see Mayorkas impeached. Can they do it? It's not just McCarthy. They need consensus among all Republicans on the Judiciary Committee within the Republican conference. So he's open to it, but I'm asking you, is there that sense of urgency? To me, that's the key question. The Republicans should be moving now. They seem to be taking a bit more of a wait-and-see attitude. What did you make of my interview with Jordan? And is it time to impeach Mayorkas? And I mean not today, yesterday. 617-266-6868 is the number. Michael in Saugus. Thanks for holding, Michael, and welcome. Hello, Michael. Okay, Michael, I need you to turn down the radio. Let's go to Jeff in Chelsea. Jeff, thanks for holding, and welcome.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. What I believe is this. This is like playing musical chairs on the Titanic. Your interview was good. You have the best audience in the business. But here is my fear, is that we are in pre-Bolshevik revolution Russia in these blue states. It's just a matter of time. Because the illegal aliens who are coming over, a lot of them, you already talked about it, are Chinese nationals coming over, which I believe are going to be Chi-Coms. They're going to grab their cache of weapons smuggled into this country, and then we're going to have full Bolshevik revolution, and blue states are going to fall to the communists. That's the game plan. The United Nations will be their Trojan horse under the Kigali principles, and that is the end game. I could say a lot more, but I'll burn up airtime. But the ultimate end game is to have the United Nations on our soil. That guy that was going against our country on camera, that Hispanic national, that's going to be the UN police force. And imagine that guy coming to your door, dragging you out, and taking your stuff, and you're out in the street or a refugee camp. It's going to get really, really dark, and there is no remedy. And the remedies that people will come up with are going to be very, very nasty. All you have to do is study past communist countries. This is not me saying it, and I'm going to wrap it up with this. There's an article by Matt Bracken called When the Music Stops. He laid out the blueprint of what's coming to this country. When the Music Stops by Matt Bracken. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Jeff, I just want to bounce off. You made some very good points that the United Nations is ultimately behind this. And I want to read a really good email that I got from one of our most faithful listeners, Kevin. Jeff, due to the deliberately created crisis at the southern border, a 2001 UN strategy document entitled Replacement Migration, is it a solution to declining and aging population? Question mark, close quote. Is now getting fresh attention. Listen to this, my friends. All of you, listen to this. In this UN document, it lays out the plan to flood America with close to 600 million migrants by 2050. 593 million migrants to be exact, Jeff. This is a weaponized globalist plan to collapse the system here in the United States through the use of unfettered immigration. And this administration is simply carrying out the plan. America is now a captured operation. And in a situation like this, the military uses the code phrase, quote unquote, broken arrow, to indicate that the enemy has overrun our position and to call for air support. Jeff, I'm calling it in. Broken arrow, broken arrow. We're overrun. And make no mistake about it, Kevin is 1,000% correct. This has been part of the UN and the globalist agenda for decades. And look at that document. They're calling for hundreds and hundreds of millions of so-called migrants, illegals, to swamp and flood our country. This will overwhelm and destroy us. It'll break our back. In other words, we're being replaced. All of those illegals that are coming in and being welcomed by the Biden regime and then released into the interior of the country, that is the great replacement. That's what's happening right now. Now, if you look at the numbers, that's why the numbers now are so staggering. We're looking at 5 million illegals a year. You got 700,000 to 1 million right now. Like an army, they're just pouring across. And then, according to the Border Patrol, They're saying we're expecting 400,000 a month. So that's 5 million a year. And it's going to be indefinite. So 5 million, 5 million, 5 million, 5 million. Do the math. Just do the math. By 2050, we're done. Hell, by 2030, we're done. So if I'm the Republicans, I don't know what the hell they're waiting for, but as far as I'm concerned, it's now or never. Impeach Mayorkas, impeach Kamala Harris, she's the border czar, and impeach Joe Biden. 617-266-6868 is the number. Agree, disagree. Vince in Utah. Thanks for holding, Vince, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
The first thing I'll start out with is Jim Jordan is a liar. He is a filthy, low-dog liar. And the last 2 times you had him on confirmed that. He dances around. He says, oh, we need the whole conference. You know, every time they need a show vote for some sort of appropriation, boy, can they whip that 218. That man is a liar. He's Trey Gowdy 2.0. I want you to refer to him as Trey Gowdy 2.0 now, from now on. Secondly, Michael Yon is the reporter that's been sending in all the video from the Darien Gap in Panama. The UN, the EU, the World Economic Forum has set up those camps, and Mayorkas knows all about it. Thirdly, Border Patrol, and Michael Yon posted it this morning on his Twitter page, at Michael Yon on Twitter, all the video of the hostility of our federal agents against the media if they're filming what's going on down there. This is an invasion. It's treason at the highest levels, and the Republicans are complicit in it.
Vince, I want to, your every point is dead on. I want to come back to your original first point. Why are the Republicans, as you put them, Trey Gowdy 2.0, Jordan and the others, all talk, no action? Why are they so afraid to impeach? Why? What do you think the reason is?
Scam. They're in on it. And you know what? They really believe that they'll be insulated from the carnage. And you know, you're going to ask me what should...
Oh, Vince, you're breaking up on us. We lost you there, but... and I think, by the way, I think doxing is illegal, right, Sandy? Isn't it? Or at least in some states it's illegal? Oh, everywhere it's illegal. Okay. Look, guys, just get some stones and start impeaching. You know, like, it's not rocket science. Like, really, man. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. 700,000 minimum. That's how many now are pouring across our southern border. The border towns are completely overrun and overwhelmed. Millions now are going to be coming over the next couple of months. Biden has now lifted Title 42. It is mayhem, havoc, chaos all over the southern border. Already now the Biden regime is admitting they're releasing many illegals. Some of them don't even have a court date. Literally, no court date. They can't even be tracked. Others, according to the New York Times and the Los Angeles Times, they have a court date 10 years from now. A decade. It's an invasion. And unless we stop it, this country will be permanently transformed. Agree, disagree, lines are loaded. Annie on the South Shore. Thanks for holding, Annie, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff, for taking my call. I am so angry that I am calm. I agree with everything that Vince had to say. Here's the other thing that I keep thinking of, Jeff. You want to know why the Republicans are doing nothing? Because they're just as bad as the Democrats. And we need to accept that fact. My question is, what rights do the American people have when you have a commander-in-chief that is committing treason right in front of our eyes? We, you, me, American people work hard every day to take care of our families, put food on the table. It is being ripped from us. Illegals that are coming into this country are getting food, housing, supplies, more than I am. I go to the grocery store and can't afford to buy food. I have to watch my budget and do what I can. Vince is 100% correct. The only way we're going to get this country back is if the American people join together and we fight to take our country back. That's all I have to say, Jeff. Good weekend to you and everybody else that's out there, because we're watching the death of the United States of America.
Annie, thank you very much for your call. 617-266-6868 is the number. And I'm sorry, but, we have to go to conference and Kevin McCarthy and we got to talk about it. And guys, I mean, seriously, what does Mayorkas have to do to get impeached? What does Biden have to do to get impeached? And I think, honestly, I'm starting to ask myself, are the donors behind the Republican Party, is this like wink, wink? You just tell your voters and your supporters that you're against this, but in reality, you're doing nothing? You just put on a show? You say one thing for the voters, but you do the exact opposite behind the scenes? Let me ask all of you, if Washington, Jefferson, Madison, Franklin, John Adams, if they were alive today, our founding fathers, what would they do? Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, joining us now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president, co-founder of Kelly Financial Services, Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I'm good. The questions keep popping up. Will we have a recession? Will the Fed stop raising rates? Will we experience stagflation? There's plenty of mixed signals, which makes answering each question with a definitive yes or no very challenging. Inflation is coming down, but food and shelter remain high. Growth might be slowing, but unemployment remains low. Wage growth has surpassed inflation, but inflation is still above the Fed's 2% target. Our free guide, Finding Your Balance, aims to help answer the following questions. Will I be able to live my desired lifestyle after I retire? Could rising interest rates alter my retirement income? Can I generate guaranteed income in order to have financial confidence in my later years? For the guide and to set up a no-obligation consultation, give us a call or email us at kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I'll continue this conversation tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for the rewind. Jeff, enjoy your weekend. Happy Mother's Day to Dr. Grace.
Happy Mother's Day to you, Kelly. You're a wonderful mom. I hope your two wonderful children spoil you, because they should. If they're listening, William Jr., Mary Madeline, take care of your mom. Give her a Mother's Day she'll never forget, because she deserves it. God bless you, Kelly. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very quick. Listen now to Alejandro Mayorkas, because he's now admitting he's all over the map. So there's no border crisis. The border is secure. The border is closed. The border is not open. But then the border is open. Now, why is the border open? He's confronted by reporters who say, well, don't American citizens have rights? Like, don't we get to determine who should come into our country and what skills they have, what education they have? Will they assimilate? Will they not assimilate? Are they criminals? Are they not criminals? Are they bringing sicknesses and diseases? Shouldn't we be able to determine who we allow into our own country instead of just, kick the door down and let them all come in? Listen now to Mayorkas saying that the priorities of Americans are subservient, subordinate to the fact that we are a, quote, nation of immigrants. So the fact that we're a nation of immigrants, that's all that matters. As far as he's concerned, that means anyone around the world is entitled, has a right to come to America. Listen to Mayorkas. It's an unbelievable statement. Roll cut 46, Mike.
So how do Americans gain from the immigration path you're opening, sir? I mean, nobody ever asked this question. Do Americans gain from all the immigrants you're bringing into the country that drive down wages, that push up rents?
Sir, we are a nation of immigrants, and we are a nation of laws. Individuals who qualify for relief under our laws have a basis to remain in the United States. The contributions of immigrants to this country is quite clear.
It's unbelievable. Well, no. Different immigrants give us different contributions, especially illegals versus legal immigrants. Hello? Hello? Tell me, if they're coming across the southern border and we're going to start putting them all on government assistance, and many of them aren't going to pay any taxes, and if we're lucky, some of them will work under the table, which, by the way, steals jobs from Americans, drives down wages. And what do you think it does, by the way, to rent and housing costs? Why do you think rent is so expensive? Because overpopulation. They got to live somewhere, and we're paying for it. So our cities are congested, rent, housing values through the roof. Our wages are being depressed. Jobs are being stolen from citizens or legal immigrants in the United States. And never mind the crime, the fentanyl, the drugs, everything else they bring with them, or many of them bring with them. But notice, suddenly, we're a nation of immigrants. Actually, no, we're a nation of citizens. That's what we are. That's what our republic is. You know, you think France doesn't have immigrants? You think Great Britain doesn't have immigrants? You think, I don't know, pick your country. You think Germany doesn't have immigrants? So the fact that most countries in the world, you think India doesn't have immigrants? Brazil doesn't have immigrants? Like, what planet are you living on? So by his definition, well, every country's a nation of immigrants. Stupid. So what? Because you've allowed immigration in the past, that means anyone can come in whenever they want? And suddenly, by the way, every immigrant, quote unquote, is beneficial? Are you serious? Are you really? Are you serious? So tell me, how about that Mexican illegal? What was it, 2 weeks ago? That took his AR-15. He was in this country, deported 4 times. 4 times. And committed crimes in this country, was deported, and still came back in. And shot up the neighbor, including an 8-year-old child. Shot up 5 dead. Tell me, oh, big contribution, huh? Big contribution. That's why you have a legal, rational, orderly immigration system. Canada has one. European countries have one. Asian countries. Normal countries. So how many immigrants do we need? Do we need any? What kind of immigrants? What kind of skills do we need? What kind of work do we need? What kind of specialties? What do we need? Instead, say, hey, they're immigrants. They're good. We're a nation of immigrants. Let them in. This, what we're watching right now, is the political and cultural suicide of America. If Republicans can't stand up against this invasion, if they can't stand up for our basic sovereignty, our borders, our culture, our language, everything we have is America, then I'm sorry, but what good are you? Like, really? This is open and shut, man. It's an open and shut case. Joe Biden is committing treason. He is abdicating his constitutional oath and responsibility to enforce the immigration laws of this country and to protect the borders of our country. That's literally what the federal government is there to do. maybe it's time to go third party. I mean, I don't know what to say. If we still have a country left after a couple of years, I don't know what else there is to say. But right now, the Republicans are failing the test. Not everyone. There are some really good Republicans out there. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't care what anybody tells me. She's been calling for Biden's impeachment now for years. She just called for it again. Again. So there are courageous Republicans. But man, oh man, you can count them on two hands. 617-266-6868. Peter in Needham. Thanks for holding, Peter, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. I become apoplectic every time I hear the term "we are a nation of immigrants." Only because my grandparents, my dad, when they came over, we had nothing. They weren't promised anything, nothing, just the opportunity to work and become good American citizens. And this comment today, when they say we're a nation of immigrants, which says they can come in and get everything they can free, is really BS. And I'm very upset, and nobody seems to counter that comment by anybody that knows what the real immigrants who made this country really had to go through when they came over here. Look at the first part of Godfather 2, when he had to go through the health exam, and then he had to be quarantined. Things like that to make sure that they were healthy. Nothing like that today. It's disgraceful, disgusting, and I don't know where it's going to end.
Peter, very eloquent, very well said. Look at the Irish immigrants. Look at the Italian immigrants. Look at the Greek immigrants. Look at all the immigrants from Eastern Europe. Look at the Chinese immigrants. Look at the Asian immigrants. Look at so many immigrants that have come from, who are willing to come here, work hard, assimilate, become good Americans, learn the language, abide by the Constitution, respect our traditions, respect our history. You know, they didn't come to take. They came to give, to make, to produce, to achieve their God-given potential. This. F you, man. F you, America. F you, Texas. F you, El Paso. I mean, it's unbelievable. It really is. And again, I mean, who defends our republic? Who will defend and stand up for America? And again, I ask the question, if our founding fathers were alive today, what do you think they'd do? Jeff Kuhner, the voice of the resistance. Okay, my friends, this is breaking right now. The mayor of New York, Mr. Sanctuary City, Eric Adams, now he's going apoplectic. Apparently now he's saying that New York City must brace for 1,000 illegal so-called migrants, illegal aliens, a day. 1,000 will be coming into New York City a day, every day, day after day after day after day. He says the city literally cannot handle it. Well, I mean, hey, you said you were a sanctuary city, so give them sanctuary. See, now the Moonbats are living with the reality of their crazy policies and ideas. But Boston, brace yourself, because they're coming here. Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Miami, Atlanta, L.A., Chicago, get ready. They're coming. The illegals are coming. 617-266-6868. Okay, who do you want me to go to next, Mike? Kenny in the great state of Florida. Thanks for holding, Kenny, and welcome.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. Another great show.
Thank you.
Like you one caller said, they're so angry, they're calm. You know, we know it's action time, but it depends on what we want to do. So here's a couple ideas. You know how Comer was able to do these audits and get the suspicious activity reports? We ought to be able to do that on every congressman and senator. But that's another show, another day. As far as with the illegals coming over, one thing that would help Jeff. This is what I told you, call screener. Every county has a licensing board. I wish I had $5 every time I see a van pull up to my neighbor's house. There's no markings on the van. They go in there. They're probably not licensed, or they're subbing out from the guy that does have a license. And, they're probably paying under the table to have the job done because they're saving money. So I'm suggesting every county go around and hit these jobs while they're there and say, look, let's see your license. And do that with all contracting jobs. Where's your license? Where's your papers saying you can work? And then when they don't have it, I think you ought to be able to hold them somewhere or something like that, find out where they live, but be able to report it to the IRS. I mean, there's billions of dollars right there for your border wall right there, Jeff. So one other thing on this, I called you last week. I mentioned how if we could have a work program, like a civil service work program. I had to go, though, but I know this is an old topic, but a lot of people know about this. And we had it a long time ago, in the 30s, I believe. But make it 2 years, do all these dirty jobs, let everybody come in. You're going to go to the slaughterhouse. You're going to be doing roofing. You're going to be doing these tough jobs. Okay, if you can't get on the roof, fine. We'll find something else for you to do. We don't want you to get hurt. You'll have insurance. But basically, you have your barracks all over the country. You're doing all these tough jobs. You literally can do it. Now, you're letting a lot of young people do them. But they will need some help with, different older folks.
Well, Kenny, look, we're going to be talking about, I think, ideas and policy proposals on how to try to deal with this. But what you said earlier, I like a lot. In other words, don't hire illegals. Whatever, landscaping, construction, home renovations, roofing, window installation, whatever it may be, your local gas station, if you suspect the person there is an illegal, I'm just giving an example, then just with our pocketbook, just say, you know what? No, you want to work on my garden or cut my lawn, or I'm just giving an example. Are you legal? And are the people working with you legal? I want to see papers. I only want to work with people who hire either Americans or legal immigrants. Period. Full stop. And if you have illegals or you hire illegals, I'm not going to give you my money. Now, that's a very effective way to provide a disincentive for people not to hire illegals. I'm not saying it's a silver bullet, far from it, but at least there's some pushback. It's going to get bad now. It's inevitably going to get bad. They don't have enough hotels or motels in New York to put them up in. I'm just giving New York City as an example. So now the mayor is saying he's going to push them out into counties in rural areas, north of New York City, west of New York City. This is going to go to the suburbs, and this is going to go to the rural areas. I think the American people are going to blow. And let me just say this. I'm noticing on today's show, both emails, texts, and callers, I'm so upset I'm calm. I'm telling you, I remember my dad. When my dad was really mad, he was calm. Grace's dad was the exact same. Honestly, Grace and I are the exact same. When I'm really teed off at a family member, I'm quiet. And I remember with my dad and with Grace's dad, when they're quiet and they're mad, you're in trouble. No, I mean, something is going to be done. It's a type of anger you don't want, because it's not the kind of anger, you kind of blow your top, steam comes out of your ears, you get it out of your system and you move on. No, this is a visceral, deep-seated, this is not going to stand kind of anger. I don't think the politicians realize the sleeping giant that they're about to awaken. We'll see, but I think the American people, we're going to blow. We're just going to blow. And when we blow, you better get out of our way. Dave in Lynn. Thanks for holding, Dave, and welcome.
Morning, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Dave?
Pretty good. Jeff, I'll tell you something right now. Remember the movie Invasion USA with Chuck Norris?
Yes, I saw that when I was younger.
Exactly. That's what's going on. Jeff, who's to say there ain't no terrorists coming over the border? I mean, it's like Trump said, if we get Biden, we get Venezuela. And we're getting it, Jeff. We shouldn't have to deal with this. Jeff, and they're going to get more money than I even wanted to get when I tried to retire, Jeff. I'm over 65. I tried to retire. They want to give you a lousy $900 for retirement. They're going to get $3,500, $3,500 a month with, like you're saying, with a shelter, with a house, a new car, license. Jeff, we get nothing. We're the ones working for this money. And they act like they have to get everything they want because they're doing what they're sneaking in the way they're doing.
Dave, great way to end the show. $3,500 a month. Shelter, food, iPhones, and we're paying for it. I'd say have a nice weekend. But I'd be lying. Happy Mother's Day.